Good morning, everyone. Good evening for some of you, some of our UK friends. Um, it's morning for me. I'm definitely just waking up. But I came across this story last night. I was doing some research into another case and came across this one. And it absolutely just broke my heart. So I want to say good morning to Mel if you're still here. I know it's evening for you. Mom first. Hello and good afternoon. I know she's grabbing coffee, so I'm going to give it a few more minutes before I start to play anything. And I do want to say that I have done so many different Google searches to find his original arrest. Welcome back, Mom first. I've looked to find his original arrest, to kind of get a background of what his arrest was for. The only thing that I do know is that he was serving a 12-month sentence for theft. I don't know the circumstances surrounding that. Like I said, I have looked and looked, and every search that I come across is the newest information because this recently happened. I want to say last week he died on November 9th. So November 9th is the day that he passed away. And he was only days away from his release date, which further frustrated me. It's all just so sad. Good morning, Leopard Print. But yeah, I'm still trying to wake up. Let me getting me some coffee right now. But how are you guys today? Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. I hope that everyone is having a great week so far. Getting ready for an appointment. I did that yesterday, so I completely understand leopard print, and I hope that everything goes okay. But okay, so I'll kind of go ahead and jump into it, and I don't want to have too much dead air, and I don't really get a huge audience here, so it's okay. People will watch on replay. A lot of my comments and stuff do come from replay crew, so thank you to the replay crew. Shout out to you. Second degree theft. Yeah. So I knew it was theft, and I know he was serving a year. He was at the end of his 12-month sentence when this happened. All right. So let me share this article first. One of them has. Hold on, y'all. I have so many. Let's see. This is it. No, this is a different one. Okay, hold on, y'all. Because there's a couple that have videos that I wanted to play so y'all can get kind of like a background on what happened. And now I'm not going to be able to find it. All right. I'll go ahead and show this one. Or, yeah, this one might have it. Okay. What the heck? Okay. Sorry, y'all. We're going to go ahead and start. I'll just go ahead and start reading. Okay, so this happened in Alabama, Mom first. Alabama inmate days from release dies after prison attack left him brain dead. So this article was updated on the 14th. So it's really heartbreaking because number one, he was only 22 years old. A 22-year-old inmate was left brain dead following a brutal prison assault and died the day he was supposed to have been released, leaving his family demanding answers and justice. Daniel Terry Williams, a father to two young children, was serving a 12-month sentence for second-degree theft when he was attacked October 22nd in a possible inmate-on-inmate assault at Staten Correctional Facility in Elmore County, the state corrections department said. Now, I do want to point out, and you'll see in other articles, they're saying right here a possible assault. There was definitely an inmate on inmate assault reported. So the prison or the facility cannot say they didn't know that an assault had happened because it most definitely was reported. He was found unresponsive in his dorm and was transported to the healthcare unit, the corrections department said in a statement. He was then transferred to an area hospital for further evaluation and treatment. Terry Williams, Daniel's father, said he was told by someone incarcerated at the jail that three other inmates beat and SA'd his son. And you can read what that means here if you're not familiar with the term. We have to be careful on YouTube. My buddy told me that they got him up, shot him up with a hot shot, referring to H. The corrections department did not respond to questions about the drug and SA allegations. Williams said that his son was assaulted for 3 days and that his son's girlfriend was notified on October 25th that he was in the hospital. The corrections department did not disclose how many days the assault lasted or the day he was transferred to the hospital. He had bruises, cuts. There was indentions in his head. Looked like a mop handle went across his head a couple of times. Before he even got to the hospital, he was already gone, Williams said. At the hospital, Williams said the family requested that a rape examination be completed. Daniel Williams' girlfriend, Amber Williams, said she was shocked by the extent of his wounds. I went to the hospital, and the nurses told me that he was assaulted and beaten really badly. And when I went into the room, he had bruises all down his arm, like down to his fingers. He had bruises over here. He had cuts up and down and bruises on his legs, and it was bad. Williams' family said doctors told them that Daniel Williams had 10% of his brain function. That 10% that's left, all that does is Daniel could breathe and he could open and close his eyes. But he has no clue who's there. He has no clue you're there. He can't see nothing, his father said. The family said medical professionals told them that Williams could stay on life support, but that he would be bedridden and require around-the-clock care for the rest of his life. The family decided to take him off of life support November 5th. We pulled the plug on him on Sunday. The following Wednesday, they were giving him palliative care. On Wednesday night is when the warden called and had them move him back to the prison. And when he got back to the prison, he died, apparently. So that's another frustrating thing is that he's at a freaking hospital. He's on life support. He's no threat. He can't do anything. Why did they even decide to move him from the hospital back to the prison? I don't understand. The corrections department said Williams was transported for long-term comfort care to Kilby Correctional Facility where he died. It did not specify the date. It is not clear, though, why he was moved to the facility instead of staying in the hospital. He died on Thursday, the day he was supposed to have been released, his father said. Terry Williams said he has retained a lawyer and wants answers about what happened to his son. He said that he believes the facility's correctional officers and warden were negligent in failing to stop the attack and that they did not keep his family properly notified about what had happened. I want to see the warden and the COs sitting in a cell, and the guys that did that, I want to see them in a chair, electric chair, he said. I couldn't save my son, but I want to save the next person. I want this crap to stop. He said he hasn't gotten any answers or condolences from the corrections department and has been told only that the matter is under investigation. The department's Law Enforcement Services Division is investigating Williams' death. An autopsy will be conducted through the department, officials said. Terry Williams' employers have created an online fundraiser to help cover funeral expenses and an independent autopsy. He said his son, who has three brothers and a sister, ran track in school and was easygoing and friendly to all. He's a good person. He got along with everybody. I didn't know anybody that he didn't get along with. He's got two kids, both a year old, a girl and a boy, he said. I don't think it's hit me yet, to be honest. I feel like it's all a dream. Why? I just can't picture this. I feel like I'm just asleep and I haven't woken up yet, he said. I'm going to go to my grave with this. That's my son. So that is a little of the background of what happened and how horrible that is. Let me catch up on who's made it in chat. Good morning, Blue Scarlet. Good to see you in here. Class C felony stealing between 1,500 and 2,500. Right. Either way, he had served his time. He did the crime. He was serving his time. He was almost out of there. And this happened right before he left. I mean, the day that he actually passed away was the day he was supposed to be released. It's really freaking sad. And the thing is that they have reports. You'll see. I have other articles. There's reports of the attack happening and what was being done about it. Sounds like nothing. Hi, Undercover Mermaid. I'm from Alabama, and in my nearby county, they sprayed an inmate that had mental illness with a water hose and put him in walk-in freezer and then sent to the hospital barely alive for low body temp. And what? What is going on in these Alabama prisons? And I'm not gonna just stereotype Alabama, but geez, this is insane. They have some crooked people out there, y'all. Mm-mm-mm. Okay, I'm gonna share this one now. So this was his final Facebook post. They do say in the article they're not sure how he was able to get on Facebook or how he was able to post, but if you have had family members incarcerated, if you have them currently, I do, there are ways for them to get internet access. There's ways for them to get to cellular devices and all of those things. So that part is not surprising. Again, so he's 22 years old. Let's see. So he was serving a theft sentence at Staten Correctional Facility, and 1 week before he was brain dead, he asked his friends to pray for me. An Alabama prisoner who died after 2 days of alleged rape and torture a fortnight before being freed asked people to pray for him in his last social media post as he looked forward to being released. So this is going over what we read earlier. 12-month sentence, second-degree theft. It says when a warden found him unresponsive in his dorm. Well, the prison said he died of a drug overdose, which we know that's a freaking lie. His family were told that dad of two, Williams, was kidnapped, bound, assaulted, and sold out by another inmate for 2 or 3 days. On October 15th, Williams wrote on his Facebook page, "How everybody doing? I ain't got too much longer left. Pray for me. I'm coming home better than I was before, drug-free. It's been a crazy ride, 3 different prisons now. It's almost over." It's unclear how he was able to access the internet while in prison. So he was actually looking forward to being released. He had seemed like he had made a turnaround, changed his life, had been through 3 different prisons, a pretty crazy ride. Little did he know that it was just going to get crazier and then his life taken away from him. It just breaks my heart. I mean, he was so freaking young. This is what the dorms. This is why inside one of the rooms of the dorms. Look how closely. I mean, there's like barely any room to walk. But this is what one of the dorms look like at the Staten Correctional Facility. Excuse me. This is an actual picture of his post. This is October 15th at 11:12 a.m. in the morning. He was declared brain dead upon his hospital arrival and was provided palliative care. He was taken off of life support on November 5th and died 4 days later. Let's see. Federal investigators have also been probing the state of Alabama and its prisons since a scathing lawsuit was lodged by the Department of Justice in 2019. So yeah, it seems like the Alabama and its prison system has a whole lot of issues going on. Good morning, Wiccan. How are you? Okay, so let me go back to Undercover Mermaid's comment. All was captured on cameras, and family is still tied up in court fighting for justice. Their Facebook support page is Justice for Anthony Tidwell. Okay, I'm going to look that up. Let me look this up. I'm not going to bring it up right now, but I want to have it in the background so I can look it up. But that is so sad. So they're still fighting for this? My God. Yeah, what the hell is going on in these prisons? They have had rallies at the courthouse and ask for public support in these continued events as they are organized. More will be happening in the future. That's sad. And it like this one, I guess, really just pulled my heartstrings because, like I said, I do have family members incarcerated. You never know what's going on at these places. I'm always waiting for some kind of phone call. Like you just really never know. I am doing pretty good today, weekend. Still kind of tired. I never wake up this early, but I can always nap later. But how are you today? This guy was only in for a very short period for using substance on top of his mental and trying to fight a family member whom had him arrested and was hopeful they would help him. Not that result, right? So they could have actually gotten this guy the help that he needed, and this is how it ended. That's horrible. It's horrible. I'm sorry. Oh, let's see. So this is another statement by the fiance. She says, speaking of their child together, Amber added, this is the fiance. How am I supposed to tell her about her daddy? Like, why isn't he here? Why didn't he ever come home? That is one of the hardest things to ever tell a child. I've been there, not for these exact reasons, but I've had to do that same speech. I've had to come up with the right words to say to a child whose father wasn't ever coming home, and it's not easy. It is one of the hardest things a mother can even fathom doing. I'll put it that way. It was really freaking hard trying to find those words. The prisoner's father, Terry, and stepmother, Taylor Bostick, also alleged that their son's body showed signs of physical abuse, including that his hands were bound. The couple claims Williams's doctor described the alleged abuse as unlike anything he had ever seen throughout his 30-year medical career. That's so sad and heartbreaking. So young. And this is him with his babies. Or his baby. Bosick said, we went to see him. He's beaten and bruised up, and you can tell where his hands were bound. I mean, you can tell it's obviously not a drug overdose. And that's when Terry called the warden and asked him why the hell he told us that his son was dying from a drug overdose when it's obviously assault. And all he could say after that was, it's under investigation. In addition to bruising and apparent binding, Bostick claims a nurse told her and Mr. Williams that there were visible handprint bruises between Daniel's legs. The family said they asked for a rape kit to be conducted, but claims their request was initially denied. They allege hospital staff finally examined him on November 1st after a lawyer got involved. The results of the kit are as yet unclear. So they did finally do the rape kit after a lawyer was involved, but we haven't heard any results about that. So they weren't able to raise enough money to bury him, and instead he will be cremated. He wrote on social media, I will let everyone know date and time once they tell me. Thanks, everyone. I really appreciate everything. Daniel Terry Williams, fly high, son. Keep mom and granny company. Justice will be served. I love you, son. Till we meet again. And his mother, Tammy, wrote online, my world, my everything is gone. Why? I promise you, son, I will take everything in my power to get justice for you. You didn't deserve any of this. They took you away from me. They took you away from your wife, your daughter. You asked me every day to please watch out for your daughter. I promise you, son, I will be here for the both of them. Your lovely, beautiful daughter, your beautiful wife, and I'll do everything I can. I'm here for you, son. I'm here for your daughter. I'm here for your wife. Every day I talk to you to please just keep an eye on them. Don't let nothing happen to them. I promise you I would and still will. I love you, Daniel. You're my sunshine, my only sunshine, and they took you away, but I'll see you soon, baby doll. I love you. You'll see me real soon. I love you to the moon and back. Oh, it's so heartbreaking. And him and his beautiful fiance. A picture Daniel posted of himself in May. So it looks like he was incarcerated here. So they say he was found unresponsive in the healthcare unit. Medical staff attempted to revive him, but they were unable to resuscitate him, and he was pronounced deceased by the attending physician. On Sunday, October 22nd, a possible inmate on inmate assault was reported. Here's what I was talking about. So they cannot say that they didn't have any inkling of any kind of assault. It was reported on the 22nd that there was an assault. Oh, it's so freaking frustrating. So on here it says this follows ongoing federal investigations into the violence in Alabama prisons. In 2019, the Department of Justice released a report alleging prison conditions violated inmates' civil rights. So this kind of goes like with Underwater Mermaid's comment was like all the different things that they're doing. The report alleged that the state did not take enough measures to prevent inmate on inmate violence and sexual abuse, failure to protect them from excessive force by staff, and failure to provide safe conditions of confinement. The DOJ sued Alabama for its unsafe prison conditions in 2020. According to the lawsuit, Alabama violated the 8th and 14th Amendments by failing to prevent prisoner on prisoner violence and SA. They also allegedly failed to protect prisoners from the use of excessive force by security staff and by failing to provide safe physical conditions of confinement. As part of the lawsuit, they inspected Alabama's 13 men's prisons over 24 days and arranged interviews with 1,000 inmates. The Equal Justice Initiative, EJI, a nonprofit organization that advocates for inmates, has branded Williams' death as tragic and preventable, alleging that cases like his occur all too frequently in Alabama's prisons. The EGI also argues that in many cases, medical emergencies are dismissed by prison staff as intoxicated or being the inmate's own fault. The advocacy group claims that oftentimes deaths could have been prevented if the person had been treated in time. In February this year, a scathing lawsuit lodged by the family of an inmate claimed that he froze to death at Walker County Jail in Alabama after he was kept naked in a concrete cell and believed he was also placed in a freezer or other frigid environment. So this is what Undercover Mermaid was telling us about. That is horrible. Anthony Don Mitchell, 33, arrived at a hospital emergency room with a body temperature of 72 degrees, wildly below the bodily average of 98.6. An emergency room doctor who tried unsuccessfully to revive Mitchell wrote, I do believe hypothermia was the ultimate cause of his death, according to the lawsuit filed by Mitchell's mother in federal court. Jail video shows Mitchell, who was mentally ill, was kept naked in a concrete floored isolation cell, according to the lawsuit. The suit speculated that Mitchell was also placed in the jail kitchen's walk-in freezer or similar frigid environment and left there for hours because his body temperature was so low. On the other end of the spectrum, in December of 2022, another federal lawsuit was filed by the family of a deceased Alabama inmate who they claim died after being baked in his prison cell. What in the world? Thomas Lee Rutledge, 44, died of hypothermia on December 7, 2020, in the mental health ward at William E. Donaldson Correctional Facility in Bessemer, Alabama. Rutledge was found unresponsive with a body temperature of 109 degrees and a cell reported to be between 101 to 104 degrees. Oh, hyper. Okay, so hyper and hypothermia. The suit accused prison staff, wardens, and contractors of deliberate indifference and malice in his death. This is insane. Oh, okay. Let's show some interesting ads there, huh? Wow, that is horrible. I'm going to leave that article up so I can refer back to it. That is so sad. Again, I'm just chilling today. This is so sad. Yeah, it is. And I'm also just chilling today, Mel. I get it. Let's see. What did I miss? Bruises were probably gone by the time lawyer was able to get them to do it. Probably so. These stories horrify me. He was so young, and what they did to him, heartbreaking indeed. Yes, 22 years old. He did his time for what he was in there for. He was so proud of how far he had come. He was drug free. He was ready to start his life over, like start his life fresh. And then this happens. Like, it just breaks my heart. Okay, leopard print. Have a good day. I'm probably too late, but have a good one. Okay, there's one that had some different stuff in it, so I'm trying to find that, but let's see. Yeah, see, this is sad. Is that the father was able to talk to someone that did confirm that they told him that they got him up and shot him up with a hot shot, referring to H, which that incapacitates him right there. You know what I mean? Like, and what reason? Like, I would like to know the reason. Like, is it because of jealousy? Do they know this guy is about to get out? Like, he's on his last leg. He's about to be free, and they decide, oh no, we're gonna do this to him. And I mean, supposedly there was 3 other inmates that beat him and did this to him, shoot him up with a hot shot of H to incapacitate him, and then SA him, beat him, bound him up possibly, and render him unconscious. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand. And I really pray that they're really doing a thorough investigation, because the ones responsible for this all need to have murder charges added to their charges. Sorry, not sorry. Sorry, I'm drinking my coffee. But yeah, like, even the nurses were saying how bad it looked. Like, so heartbreaking. Hold on, y'all. I'm gonna find the one I wanted to share with y'all. Just give me a minute. Okay, this one I think was by the sister. And I hate these websites because they're all so busy with so many ads and stuff that pop up. But so this is the sister of a prisoner. She wrote a heartbreaking tribute in his memory. Let's see. So Brittany Robinson, his sister, wrote on her Facebook profile, "I'd take your place instantly so you could have more time with your kids. I so would, Daniel. This sissy," so like he called her sissy. "This sissy is extremely exhausted and lost without her Daniel calling her, saying, 'Look what your niece done, learned how to talk about already.'" And this is Daniel Williams with his child before his life support machine was turned off. Daniel Williams' fiance Amber claims his death followed 2 days of rape and torture in prison. This sister held your hand for 3 days straight. This sister wiped your drool, wiped cold rags on you so your body could cool off in that hospital room. This sister told the nurses to clean you extra because you needed it. This sister made sure you were taken care of when I could. And I'll just say I watched you gasp for air, shake to try and breathe. This sister looked at your bruised body and bit her tongue from cussing the guard out at the prison because she knew they'd stop me from seeing you. I told you I loved you. I talked to you even though I knew you couldn't respond. I told you I love you and I needed you to know we're okay. Oh, Daniel, this blank hurts so bad. I'm really, really sorry. It's not fair. Please be at peace now. In a GoFundMe campaign, the devastated family says Daniel's life machine was switched off on November 5th. I'm just curious to see if they reached their goal. So their goal is a $50,000 goal, and they are at 22,000. And I'll go over what that's about in a minute. Amber, his beloved fiance, says she was horrified by his condition when she got to see him. The single mom now faces raising their children on her own. I supposed to tell her about her daddy, like, why isn't he here? Why didn't he ever come home? I went to the hospital and the nurses told me that he was assaulted and beaten badly. Let's see. Okay, so there's nothing new. But it does frustrate me that the fact that on October 22nd, there was an inmate on inmate assault reported. Why didn't they do anything then? Why didn't they move him away? Like, why didn't they investigate further at that point? Okay, let's see. So this is the one that I had that had the article that I'll play for y'all.
He makes some goofy faces.
Daniel Williams' mother and fiance have fond memories of a young man lost too soon.
He was a goofball, was what he was. Always aggravating.
They were notified last week by the warden at Staten Prison in Elmore County that the 22-year-old was in a hospital for an overdose. But when they rushed to be by his side, they were shocked by his condition.
I went to the hospital and the nurses told me that he was assaulted and beaten really badly. And when I went into the room, he had bruises all down his arm, like down to his fingers. He had bruises over here. He had cuts up and down. He had bruises on his legs, and it was bad.
His father says he had very little brain function left, so they made the difficult decision to take him off life support.
I called the warden and I cussed him out. I was like, dude, you know this is not an overdose case. You know exactly what happened. How's this crap going to happen like this? Well, it's under investigation right now. And that's the last time I even talked to the warden.
The Alabama Department of Corrections sent us a statement saying a possible inmate-on-inmate incident was reported, and the DOC's Law Enforcement Services Division is investigating. Carla Crowder with Alabama Appleseed says what happened to Daniel is all too common.
Yeah, so they're going to go into it a little bit about, what happened to him and that how it's all too common. I'm sorry, but things like this should not be common. I'm so heartbroken by this. Kids make mistakes. He was paying his dues. He didn't deserve that. Exactly. That's what breaks my heart the most too, Mel, is that he did not deserve this. None of them deserve this. Like the injustice done already, the way they get treated at some of the prisons that they end up at is so uncalled for. Federal marshals came to the rally here. They interviewed jail staff and coroner, etc., but still no justice yet. And when did they say that happened? Was that the one that happened in 2022? Mermaid? They did not move him clear because they didn't give it right. Exactly.
The brutality, the violence, the dysfunction, it's not an aberration anymore. It's a feature of the Alabama Department of Corrections. It is our system. And so the kind of horrific deaths that we've seen, what happened to Mr. Williams, is not even uncommon anymore.
Now the Williams family is trying to figure out how to bury this young man who was scheduled to be released from prison on the day he died.
I set up a GoFundMe account to get him cremated. It's like $1,000. I was wanting to bury him by my mom, but that's like $7,000. You know, I can't afford that.
His fiance is struggling with knowing their daughter will have no memories of her father.
How am I supposed to tell her about her daddy? Like, why isn't he here? Why didn't he ever come home?
I grew up without my dad, and it sucked. So I couldn't even imagine.
Oh, that just breaks my heart. You can tell this family is struggling. They're heartbroken. This was not expected. This is not how things should have been. You know, it's one thing whenever they mess up and they go to jail and they do what they have to do, but he did his time. He was on his way out, and then the freaking jail system fails him by not properly conducting an investigation or whatever into the assault that happened. They're not watching these inmates closely enough, in my opinion. None of this should have happened. None of it.
In Jefferson County, Lisa Crane, WVTM 13.
Thanks for.
Yeah, so it's heartbreaking. The senior Williams' wife indicated that a doctor told them the 22-year-old was in a coma long before he ever got medical attention. So whatever they did to him actually put him into a coma long before he even made it to the hospital. So it's like they drug overdosed him. They then went on to abuse him, bound him, SA him. Oh my God. So right here it says a stepmother. Then I called the warden myself to find out what was going on and why he hadn't been contacted. And he said both of William's parents had been marked NA on the contact slip, which is, excuse me, but a crock of crap. But when I called, he told me Daniel's on life support, but the only time we call the family is when it looks like they're not going to make it. Okay, if you're on life support, that demands a phone call. What in the world? Oh my God. So right here it says he was black and blue from head to toe. He had restraint marks on his wrists. He had indents almost in his head from being beaten. So her husband Terry called the warden and said, "Why the hell did you tell me my son died of an overdose when it was obviously an assault?" And that's when the warden said, "It's under investigation." Terry alleged that Daniel had been tied up and beaten on October 19th, 3 days before another inmate took him to an officer for help on October 22nd, citing what he had heard from other inmates at the facility. So he was bound, assaulted, and sold out by another incarcerated person on or around October 22nd, essentially kidnapped for 2 or 3 days. So you have an inmate who he was beaten on the 19th, 3 days before. On the 22nd, they finally took him in, but he was gone for 2 or 3 days. Like, obviously he missed count. How did they not pick up on that? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's counts every so many hours on all of these days. Why didn't they investigate sooner? And the warden is like, oh, it's obviously a drug overdose. No, it's not. You obviously didn't even check on him. He was missing for 2 or 3 days. So it says, and when I spoke to the warden myself, he said it's obviously a drug overdose. Okay, so me and his father just assumed he got a hold of some bad drugs or something. And when we went to see him, he's beaten and bruised up, and you can tell where his hands were bound. I mean, you can tell it's obviously not a drug overdose. And that's when Terry called the warden and asked him why the hell he told us that his son was dying from a drug overdose when it's obviously assault. That is freaking ridiculous. I'm sorry, I'm just reading all this stuff. Okay, so I wanted to look at his GoFundMe together. Let me see. This one says Christopher Lewis Latham also sat in correctional facility in August. Really? Another case? Let me look this one up. Crap, how did I get back to you? Christopher Lewis Latham. I can't find this one. Mom First. Let's see. Lewis Latham. Oh, I did find this one. This is a day ago. What? Let me share this one real quick. Or is this the same? Let me see. Because this one says rented out too, which is what they said. Oh, no. Okay. What in the frick is really going on? I'm going to let this ad play and then we'll listen to this one. Oh. Hold on, I'm going to start it over because I am removing these comments and StreamYard is tripping. Okay, finally, there it goes. And I'm going to put it on full screen. What the frick? Oh, this is nice. Okay. So, should I go back to the beginning of that video? So this one, an Alabama prisoner was brutally bludgeoned with a weight at the same notorious prison where an inmate was rented out and raped before being beaten to death, according to reports. Christopher Lewis Latham Jr. was struck with the object at Staten Correctional Facility in August, leaving him with gruesome swelling to the side of his head and 2 shut eyes. Latham eventually recovered from those injuries and was sent to another Alabama prison where he was beaten to death last month in a separate attack over a $10 debt. Oh my gosh. So he was at Staten and then he was sent to a different facility where he was then beaten again. And then now you have the Daniel Williams one. This is heartbreaking. Trigger warning in chat. Hey, Blind, good morning. Yeah, this is insane. And this is all happening at the same prison. The one I just went over, he was basically about to get out. Like, he posted on Facebook. Somehow he got a hold of a cell phone. But anyway, he was like days before his release and freaking kidnapped, basically given a hot shot, was missing for 2 to 3 days while he was beaten and SA'd and all this other stuff, ended up at the hospital in a coma, and the family had to end up taking him off of life support. They then transferred him back to the prison where he passed away. And then this is another incident at the same freaking prison in Alabama. And then when he was transferred to another prison, he gets beaten there also. So, like, Alabama needs a whole new freaking prison system. What the hell is going on in Alabama? How can this be allowed to happen? For real. Like, what is going on? This is, oh my goodness. So, Latham was jailed 18 years ago at the age of 22 for an armed robbery of a Waffle House restaurant with a knife. He was sentenced to 20 years behind bars, despite it being his first felony conviction. Wait, so he was just in there for armed robbery and he had to serve 20 years? Dang. And then while at Staten, Latham was attacked with a heavy weight by another inmate and hospitalized. And then Latham was transferred to another Alabama prison where he was beaten again and died. Okay, so I thought he survived both. So he was attacked at the Staten prison. This was him in the hospital from those injuries. He was then transferred to a different prison and then he died at the second prison. Yeah, something is going on with these. They need new correctional officers. They need a whole freaking new system. Daisy Mae Giblet, really, Blind? Hey, do you think the guards in this prison should try out being locked up here for a while? Let them get firsthand experience? Something. But yeah, Alabama is definitely crazy because this is freaking insane. So it says sources told the outlet he was never tested for brain bleeding despite the severity of his injuries. He was eventually moved to Ventress Correctional Facility and was again severely beaten over a minor prison debt. Latham again suffered head trauma and was put on life support before his family decided to remove him from his ventilator. Latham, his uncle told APR, had lost his mother to cancer as a teen and was beaten by his stepfather. This poor guy, this guy right here, has had a life of hell. I mean, he was beaten by his stepfather. He has a theft at a Waffle House and gets 20 years behind that. Like, that is freaking crazy to me. I mean, because look at the comparison to Daniel, the other case I was covering. He had second-degree theft, and he only served 12 months. You had this guy who had theft. I understand he had a knife on him, so yeah, it was slightly different. But 20 years, to me, seems really excessive. Wow. I don't excuse Chris for what he did, but he didn't deserve to die in prison. Despite being a marked man for the prior attack, prison officials told Hyatt that there was no protective custody option available at Ventures because of overcrowding. Latham was less than 2 years from his scheduled release. Williams's family also ripped Alabama prison officials for a lack of oversight, telling APR that they initially thought he died from a drug overdose. Yeah, that was a bunch of crap. Yeah, so obviously they have an issue because they're being sued. The gruesome incidents come as the Department of Justice is suing Alabama for failing to curb extreme violence at the hands of guards and other inmates at its correctional facilities. Because they obviously do not have control of all of that if all of this is happening. Let's see. Good morning, Micah.
Morning.
Let's see. Did he get better after the first meeting? It doesn't seem like it. It seems like I mean, I guess maybe he was having he had some kind of healing because he was in there for a bit, but they went ahead and transferred him right away where he underwent another beating and then succumbed to those injuries. So this is the fundraiser for Daniel Terry Williams. Let's see. We're creating this GoFundMe to help out our employee, Terry Williams. Tammy and Terry are having to make a decision to take their 22-year-old son off of life support on Sunday, 11/5. This is a decision no parent should have to make. Daniel was beaten, tortured, and SA'd at Staten Prison by a gang of people with only 14 days until his release. He was pronounced brain dead on arrival to the hospital. We are helping Terry and his family with funeral and legal expenses. They have taken him off of life support and will keep him comfortable until he passes. On Thursday, November 9th, Daniel gained his angel wings. They were not prepared for this sudden tragedy. Any donations and prayers will be greatly appreciated. Keep the family in your prayers. And so they updated it on the 14th. We are bringing a wrongful death lawsuit on behalf of Daniel in federal court in the state of Alabama. Bringing a suit in federal court is crucial because it opens the doors to greater opportunities for justice in that the whole nation learns of the atrocities that happened to Daniel and the justice he so clearly deserves. However, bringing suit in federal court results in significant expenses, and as a group of small legal firms, we struggle with funding the $45,000 to $90,000 in legal fees that are required to adequately and completely bring justice to Daniel. One of the biggest expenses are depositions, which are admissions under oath by a person to the court. We are eager to ask the warden, correctional officers, and all involved what they know and why they have not and will not do anything regarding the inherent dangers that have occurred. Depositions, unfortunately, typically cost around $5,500 to $10,000 per deposition, and we anticipate conducting several. Unfortunately, justice in the modern day comes at a price. We are unbelievably grateful for your early support. You have enabled his family to ensure he received a proper burial and a firm that specializes in probate matters to create Daniel's estate. So, after being moved to Kilby Infirmary, Daniel has gained his angel wings this morning. Daniel was moved up. Okay, so these are just updates as it was ongoing. So, like I said, this is why the goal has gone up so much because now they are pursuing the wrongful death lawsuit, which they should. Yeah, it costs us a lot because of the depositions, but hopefully they can rally up the money to help get justice for their son. Yeah, I don't understand. So this isn't about Daniel. the case I'm covering, that the marked man theory or whatever, that is about the other inmate that I went over, that Mom First, I think, told us about. Christopher Lewis Latham Jr. Let's see. Let me see if I can find anything about like the whole marked man thing. I don't understand what that's about either. Okay, so it says he was relocated to Ventress Correctional Facility instead of Staten, where again he was assaulted in October by 2 inmates over an alleged $10 debt. However, this time Latham would suffer a traumatic brain injury and was placed on life support. I don't understand the marked man person comment. So it says they could not offer protective custody because there were no empty cells. Let's see. Okay, and it says that he did receive the 20 years because he had the hunting knife. That's what resulted in him receiving a 20-year sentence despite having no prior felonies. Yeah, I don't know. I can't find anything on the marked man comment blind. I don't know. I think he was healed enough to be transferred. Yeah, I would think so. The name I gave earlier was wrong. I apologize. I just checked my Facebook and it is Justice for Anthony Tony Mitchell. Yeah, that's the name that was mentioned in the other article. Undercover Mermaid. So it's okay. I found it. Correctional officer arrested for allegedly selling drugs at Staten prison. What? Gosh, are you just like Googling all the things that have happened at this Staten prison? Because it sounds like there's a whole lot of freaking craziness is happening at this place. Yeah, so it's Anthony Tony Mitchell. So that's another case. So we have Christopher Lewis Latham, we have Anthony Tony Mitchell, and then we have Daniel Terry Lewis. With all of these things going on at just at the Staten prison in Alabama. Huh. I think it means the gang started it in one facility, and when they transferred him, they had their people finish it. But I'm curious if he was still in the infirmary or no. That would be nice to know. We have to see if we can find more information on it. But I do have his name on my Google, so I will look more into it. I figured it would come up with the freezer. Yeah, that was a crazy case also. Hey, Lazy Bum. Good morning, afternoon. It's like Truckee. Check more when the story is crazy, right? I didn't think they had this much stuff going on at that one prison. Wow. So their last rally was November 4th following the Veterans Parade. That was for Anthony. Okay, let's see. I'm looking up some more of this stuff. Okay, according to sources, Lewis Latham Jr. was hit in the head with a weight Friday evening at Staten Correctional Facility. He was taken to the infirmary, but medical staff did not give him an MRI or CT scan to determine the seriousness of his injuries. Rhonda Averhart, an emergency room nurse for over 20 years, said it is likely that Latham has a small brain bleed on his brain due to having seen similar injuries in her experience. She said she is astounded at the lack of care by ADOC medical staff and nurses. ADOC is Alabama Department of Corrections. As a nurse, we take an oath to save people, and they aren't doing it. APR contacted ADOC for a comment on the status of Latham, but as of this story's publication, the department has not yet responded. Sources close to the situation said that Latham was moved to a hospital yesterday. So this was... Oh, this is back in August. Because his story was a little bit before the other one. Let's see. So a TikTok video also released on Friday shows an incarcerated individual at Limestone discussing the violence inflicted upon him by correctional officers. The individual said that he was jumped by officers and showed viewers his arm, which he said was fractured. The individual also has a visible contusion on the top of his head. The video also has a caption stating police are beating and mistreating people in prison. Dang. So they have a lot of people speaking up against Alabama's Department of Corrections. Trying to find some information for you, Blonde, but I can't find anything. Several deaths reported at ADOC facilities in the past week. Wow.
Hello? What? Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
I did, but I canceled it.
Oh, I stopped sharing.
I canceled
Okay.
it, canceled it, because how am I supposed to get back to work all the way in Lafayette?
Family not letting up, thankfully. Yeah, I agree. Good for them for
No, I
fighting.
want to cancel it because
Freezer reminds me of Kennica Jenkins.
I'm gonna tell them whatever.
Hold on one second,
his
y'all.
house later.
Several deaths reported at ADOC facilities in the past week. By Patrick Darrington. Last week, several incarcerated individuals died at separate Alabama Department of Correction facilities. According to the family of Robert Eaton, he passed away from an apparent overdose at Fountain Correctional Facility. No further details regarding Eaton or his passing are available at the moment. On Thursday, Isaac Thomas passed away from another alleged overdose at Bibb County Correctional Facility. Both deaths indicate a continuous problem in terms of drug use and abuse across ADOC facilities. The amount of deaths, including overdoses and homicides, that have occurred in ADOC facilities over the past year are still unknown. However, ADOC has not released a monthly report since August, and the fiscal year 2023 fourth quarter ended on September 30th. Once ADOC releases that information, it should give a more approximate indication of the deaths that have occurred over the past year in their facilities. There have also already been reports of incarcerated individuals complaining about the falling temperatures and open windows in facilities. Specifically, at Donaldson Correctional Facility, APR viewed messages of an incarcerated individual saying a correctional officer was letting them suffer by not turning the heat on. The individual said they were given blankets and jackets, but it was still so cold that the incarcerated were hurting. Al.com also reported about the falling temperatures and conditions facing the incarcerated.
I'm glad that they are being looked into by the Department of Justice because that is crazy with all these deaths going on. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and close out here. You guys, I just wanted to bring this story to you since it was recent. I just came across it yesterday and thought it was so sad. I didn't know that it was tied to other inmates' deaths and other things going on. Like, that is just so sad and heartbreaking. But it's just an eye opener, you know? You don't really know what's happening at some of these prisons. Some of these prisons, these prisoners are getting treated horribly. And I'm sorry, but no one deserves that. They're still human. You know, yes, there are horrible people incarcerated. Yes, they've done horrible things, but still, they're human beings at the end of the day. So, anyway, thank you all for joining. I love each and every one of you, and I appreciate you all being here. Thank you to my mods. I love you all, and I hope you all have a great rest of the week. Talk to you guys later. Have a good one.